On this episode of Time About the Movies, we have a pretty good week overall, with one exception that we'll get to in a little bit. We have DreamWorks' latest animated feature, The Croods. We have the first of our two Die Hard in the White House movies in 2013, Olympus Has Fallen. We have Tina Fey and Paul Rudd in Admission. And then we have a movie that makes movie 43 look like Citizen Kane by comparison. It is InAPPropirate Comedy. So we'll take a look at those films today. For March 22nd, 2013, this is Time About the Movies.
Tonight we'll hear the story of Crispy Bear. A long time ago, this little bear was alive because she listened to her father, so she was happy. But Crispy had one terrible problem. She was filled with curiosity. Yes, and one day she saw something new and died.
Just like that?
Yes.
Oh,
Same ending as every day.
I get it, Dad. I will never do anything new or different.
Good man, Thunk.
My family has always survived by living by my dad's one rule. Never leave the cave. We never had the chance to explore the outside world. But what we didn't know is that our world was about to change.
Eve, come down! Get to the cave! Go! Look out!
You really need to see this. It's so beautiful.
DreamWorks The Croods.
Welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the four films released on March 22nd, 2013, and we are looking at the first DreamWorks animated film released by 20th Century Fox, between 2013 and 2017. Yeah, 2017, because they didn't have a movie released in 2018. DreamWorks animated films were released by 20th Century Fox after many years with Paramount, and then before that Universal, and then they eventually went back over to Universal, starting with 2019. But this is the first of the 20th Century Fox DreamWorks animated films. And in The Croods, you have this film set in the prehistoric Pliocene era, known as the Cretaceous, a period which contains fantastical creatures, where a man's position as the leader of the hunt is threatened by the arrival of a prehistoric genius who comes up with revolutionary new ideas like fire as they trek through a dangerous but exotic land in search of a new home. And DreamWorks Animation had been on this hot streak for so many years, just like Pixar did, even though Pixar put out the far superior films. And there were rarely any misses from DreamWorks, with the exception, of course, of Shark Tale. And this was before we got to stuff like Turbo and the Boss Baby movies. But they had been on a roll for a good long period of time, and this streak was going to continue with this film in particular. This was a really good movie. It's not up to the levels of something like a Shrek 2 or How to Train Your Dragon is one of DreamWorks' best films, but you got the people who made Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon working on this movie, so chances are it's going to turn out to be a really good movie, and it did turn out to be a good film. There's a lot I liked about it. I like Nicolas Cage in this as the father. He puts more heart and effort into this than most of his movies he had done in the last couple of years. He's returning to form here. He's kind of like Adam Sandler in Hotel Transylvania. Like, you don't expect much from him going into it, but the trailers don't really show you an indication of what this guy can really do in this movie. And he really does play this role very well. And you realize there's a reason why this guy won an Academy Award nearly 20 years ago for Leaving Las Vegas. And it shows it here. Speaking of Oscar winners, future Oscar winner Emma Stone is pretty good in here. I like the chemistry she has with Ryan Reynolds' character, who plays the genius who comes up with the new ideas for them. You got Cloris Leachman, Catherine Keener, who I really did not recognize her as the voice of the mom in this movie, surprisingly. Clark Duke from Greek in this is pretty good, and Hot Tub Time Machine, of course. The story works very well. It does a good job of not falling into the same old cliches that I get so sick and tired of seeing in animated movies. I like that it takes different approaches overall, but it is because of the people that made the film, and I'll get to that in just a second here. The visuals are incredible to look at. I mean, Oz the Great and Powerful just came out 2 weeks ago, and those visuals looked amazing. These look just as good. I mean, this is a movie that has so many beautiful imagery to look at once they get to this new world. And you see a little bit of it in the trailer there. And again, that's the power of Chris Sanders and director Kirk D'Amico, who did Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon previously. Chris Sanders knows how to tell an amazing story and to keep you invested no matter what the project is. Even in some of his lesser stuff, like The Call of the Wire, which I like that movie a lot more than people do, but yeah, the guy knows exactly what he's doing, and the movie doesn't pad out its runtime with pointless, crude humor, but instead mixing a very good story with a lot of heart and humor. I mean, the final 5 minutes alone got me choked up when I first saw it. Even though I knew what was going to happen, you know, it's hard not to watch that and start shedding tears for this. I mean, that's the great thing about Chris Sanders movies too, is it's like, these movies can be so emotional, man. I mean, you just saw The Wild Robot a year ago, and yeah, there's parts of that movie that almost made me tear up too. I mean, that's the power of what this guy has done as an animation director in his entire career, man. He is so good. He brings the same magic he brings to Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon into this, and creates is not a movie that's not quite up there with one of DreamWorks' best, but it's still pretty damn good. I mean, you can't go wrong with this movie. An amazing visual fantasy, a lot of great characters, great voice acting, a great story, a beautiful visual landscape. It's a terrific film. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I recommend it very much. The Croods, really, really good film. So with that, Toy Boat. With all of that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is the first of our 2 Die Hard in the White House movies, Olympus Has Fallen.
Olympus has fallen! I repeat, Olympus has fallen! They're taking the White House.
I want to speak with the Russians, the Chinese, the British, and the French.
We are at DEFCON 4.
Take cover!
We're talking about the safety of the President of the United States.
We're talking about a hell of a lot more than that, sir.
Olympus Has Fallen, rated R.
And it's the one that surprisingly is the better of the 2 movies. You would think a movie that has Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx and directed by Roland Emmerich would be the better of the 2 ones, especially with a studio behind it, but no. Olympus Has Fallen is surprisingly the better one of these 2 movies, which is weird because the trailers before this did not look that great at the beginning. I mean, the trailers overall looked pretty bad. You know, Gerard Butler, who was just coming off of one bad movie after another. I mean, we just talked about Playing for Keeps, which was not a good movie by any means, which is a terrible film, one of the worst movies of 2012, but you know, everything was working against this movie, and yet somehow, some way, they found a way to make this movie actually kind of fun and enjoyable to watch. So with this movie, you have a North Korean-led guerrilla assault on the White House, and focuses on disgraced Secret Service agent Mike Banning's efforts to rescue U.S. President Benjamin Asher. Banning being played by Gerard Butler, and Benjamin Asher being played by Aaron Eckhart. And you also have a cast that includes Morgan Freeman, Angela Bassett, Robert Forster, Cole Hauser, Ashley Judd, Melissa Leo, Dylan McDermott, Radha Mitchell, and most notably, it's directed by Antoine Fuqua, which I think is one of the reasons why this movie somehow works a lot better than White House Down does, because it's pretty obvious Antoine Fuqua is a way better director than Roland Emmerich is. He's made many better movies. He's made movies that are much better than anything that Roland Emmerich has ever done. And he knows how to work with these actors here. He knows how to get the best out of people like Gerard Butler and Aaron Eckhart, and guys like, and you know, he doesn't need to really get the best out of Morgan Freeman per se, because he's Morgan Freeman. The guy can read a phone book and keep you captivated no matter what. And yeah, this isn't a great movie overall, but considering the fact that this movie had zero expectations going into it for most people, including myself, to come out of it going like, wow, this was actually really damn fun. I mean, it is what you expect it to be. It's a Die Hard in the White House movie. And yeah, like I said, it's the better of the two films in general here. I thought the action was pretty good. Gerard Butler actually is pretty good in this, giving one of his stronger performances overall here. And the film overall, like I said, it's just a fun movie. It's a film that you expect you expect a lot less from going into it, but then you come out of it going like, wow, this is actually really damn impressive what they were able to accomplish here. It's a really good movie, man. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a fun film overall. Nothing too crazy, nothing too spectacular about it, but it's just a fun surprise. Like, it's one of those nice, fun surprises that you come across every once in a while. You don't expect much from it, but when you watch it, it's just kind of like, oh, wow, this is actually really, really damn good. The sequels, though, are a much different story altogether. I don't hate most of those sequels, but I won't say they're great films either. But we'll save that for a couple of years down the road here when we get to 2016 for London Has Fallen, and then 2019 for Angel Has Fallen. But either way, Olympus Has Fallen is a really good film. I actually really found myself enjoying it a lot more than I was expecting it to, so take that for what you will. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie that we have here. We're starting to get to the films that aren't quite as good as the Croods or Olympus Has Fallen, but this one's not that bad, though. Tina Fey and Paul Rudd in Admission.
Officer.
Portia Nathan made a living out of rejecting others.
Do you like bun cake? Step away from the car. Bye. Thank you for calling. That's the way it works.
But this spring,
it's John Pressman. I'd like for you to visit our campus.
true love
You're just this single dad traveling the world doing good.
I had that on a t-shirt, actually.
cannot be denied.
There's nothing improper going on here.
Tina Fey, Paul Rudd,
Cows in labor.
Just focus on your breath. Your terrible, terrible breath.
Admission, rated PG-13.
Actually, I might have said that this is too much of a bad film. It's not a bad film per se. It's just not as good as some of Tina Fey's other movies in general here, and it kind of suffers from not having her involved with the script. Like, if you get her involved in the script with something, more times than not, it's going to be a much better film than it actually turns out to be. This one, unfortunately, she didn't write the script for, but that's not to say it's a bad movie overall. So in this movie, you have Tina Fey as a Princeton University admissions official, Portia Nathan, who's caught off guard when she makes a recruiting visit to an alternative high school overseen by her former college classmate, John Pressman, played by Paul Rudd. Pressman has surmised that Jeremiah, played by Nat Wolff, his gifted yet unconventional student, might well be the son that Portia secretly gave up for adoption many years ago. Soon Portia finds herself bending the rules for Jeremiah, putting at risk the life she thought she always wanted, but in the process finding her way to a surprising and exhilarating new life and romance she never dreamed of having. And that right there is kind of the big flaw with the film in general here. It's kind of all over the place in the story department. You know, the movie is called Admission, but the main plot of it all is the fact that, you know, there's a possibility that Tina Fey may have had this kid and she completely forgot all about her, or they basically figured it out later on. But, you know, it's a thing where it's just kind of like there's too many things going on behind the scenes in the scripting department of trying to figure out what's the overall thing we're supposed to be taking away from this movie. And it doesn't feel like they had an idea for it going into it. And that's really the biggest fault with the film, is the overall script. It's just way too all over the place. There's nothing about it that really makes it something that makes it look like a coherent film in general here. But what does carry the film are the two leads, Tina Fey and Paul Rudd, who do work off each other very well. And I've always said, if your two leads work off each other well enough, you can usually skip over the flaws of a movie in general here. And for this, I can give them credit for that here. There's a really good cast all around this film. Michael Sheen is also in here. Wallace Shawn, Lily Tomlin, Gloria Rubin, Sonia Walger, Oleg Krupa. And this is directed by Paul Weitz. And Paul Weitz usually directs much better movies than his brother Chris Weitz does. Even though, to be perfectly honest, one of the things that Paul Weitz directed was the infamous Little Fockers. So, needless to say, this is definitely a vast improvement on that film. But, yeah, overall, a mixed bag of a movie per se. Not a great film, not a bad film either. Just kind of in the middle there. I thought it was okay for what it was, but it felt like there should have been so much more. You felt like there was more on the table that they could have done with it had the script been so much better. And unfortunately, the script just wasn't working for it overall. So, mixed opinion on Admission. So those are all the films that I can at least say are good, to range from great to good. Now here comes the piece of shit. A movie that, as I said before, makes movie 43 look like Citizen Kane by comparison. That is InAPPropirate Comedy.
this spring, when trouble rises, who do you turn to?
Go ahead. Make me gay.
From Vince Offer, the guy that brought you the slap chop.
Fuck, was that the guy from ShamWow?
Comes an assembly of the most inappropriate comedy ever.
I hope we go straight to the titties, not a lot of talking.
You'll get action.
You want blowjob? I give him a
Girl.
I can blow myself.
You'll get romance.
I call y'all pussy Rihanna, because my dick's gonna beat it like it's Chris Brown.
You'll get offended.
Is your pussy like slanted?
It isn't just crazy. It's downright.
Let me just snip.
No, hey.
Fucked up.
Free trips to Africa.
Chicken, get the chicken.
Follow it. You're gonna make follow it.
Did you tell them about the basketball?
Whoa.
I mean, really, do I need to tell you anything more about that? That last bit there should have been the sign for you to stay the hell away from this movie. But nope. We have to keep talking about this because, just before we get to that, though, does this movie seem familiar to you folks out there? If it doesn't, allow me to give you a little refresher for you.
The single most offensive movie ever made.
Yeah, that's a thumbs up, in the words of Michael Jackson.
The shocker comedy you've been waiting for is finally available.
Oh, not now, honey, not now.
It's the underground comedy movie. Music by No Effects, Guttermouth, and more. With supermodels in the John taking a... Welcome.
These movies look very familiar, don't they? Well, it's just because it's made by the same director, Vince Offer, the man who did this film, and also known as the ShamWow guy. The movie he did before this, 14 years prior, was the Underground Comedy movie, a movie we covered on this show back when I think it was either the 1999 episode or the 2000 or the 99 Leftovers episode, but we covered it on the show. And needless to say, this movie is nothing but that movie with a slightly bigger budget and slightly bigger stars involved to it. And, it turns out this was originally envisioned to be a sequel to the Underground Comedy movie, but they changed it to InAPPropirate Comedy. And essentially the movie is that you have all these different sketches that Vince Offer uses on this tablet, including segments that are very similar to the Underground Comedy movie. In the Underground Comedy movie, there's a scene where, Jenna Lee Nolan is doing the Marilyn Monroe thing, and this time it's Lindsay Lohan, except this time it's even more stupider and completely pointless. Like, it's no reason to be in there. There's a Flirty Harry sequence featuring Academy Award winner Adrian Brody. Yes, this is what he did in between The Pianist and The Brutalist, and good lord. Like, this thing is you thought Hugh Jackman with balls on his chin in movie 43 was a career killer. This thing could have easily destroyed Adrian Brody's career, but luckily, 11 years later, he got back to relevancy with an Academy Award nomination for The Brutalist, and also the one that he won the Oscar for. So his career is back on track. But my God, this movie is a movie that could have easily been a killer. The whole bit in this movie about Flirty Harry is nothing but a bunch of double entendres. Just literally the entire script for this is just make as many gay jokes and puns as you can. And after a while, it gets so fucking old quickly. This movie is so obnoxious, it is so in your face, and it just does not give a shit in the worst possible way. Like, you could be offensive and be funny. We have seen that in so many other movies, like the Kentucky Fried Movie and Amazon Women on the Moon still hold up after all these years. Movies like this and movie 43 do not, because they're trying to... The problem is with these movies is that they say that they're trying to be offensive, but all they're doing is just saying things and expecting that to just be comedy without any punchlines overall. Like, the whole thing with the guy who's trying to be like, Ari Schaefer being like, going around being offensive to everybody, and, just like the whole thing is that last bit there, with the black people and being like, come get the chicken. The guy's just like, hey, did you tell him about the basketball course? Just like, what's the joke? Okay, black people like chicken and basketball. Okay, what's your point? What's your point of doing this whole thing? The problem is there is no point here because these people don't know how to do a fucking punchline correctly. And this offer does not need to do this. You cannot tell me that this guy hasn't made money off of those ShamWow commercials over the years. Basically, if that's the case, if he's making a movie this bad, it basically is saying that he's using that for blowing cocaine. I mean, and alcohol. Like, there's got to be something behind the scenes where he's not using that money very well, using it on gambling. That he probably has a lot of debts or something like that. Because there's no reason to make this movie with the fact that this guy has been selling you stuff like ShamWow and the Slap Chopper for 10 years before this. It's just a terrible film. And then you got people like Rob Schneider, Michelle Rodriguez, who you expect to be in a movie like this, just to be just a bad film overall. This is a shitty movie, man. Not much more to really say about it. This is just a garbage film. It is not funny at all. It's a terrible, terrible film. And it is nothing but a lame ripoff of a movie that wasn't even that good to begin with. I mean, the Underground Comedy movie isn't a good film at all. Like, the only difference between that and this movie is that you got bigger stars attached to it. That's it. That really is all about it. And luckily, people were smart enough to not waste their time with this movie. This thing bombed hard. I mean, it brought in $228,000. Our first weekend alone averaged $625 in its opening weekend. $625 in 275 theaters. I mean, people weren't stupid enough to buy into this bullshit. And yeah, you would be stupid enough to buy into it too. If you went into this and found some laughs out of it, then don't ever talk to me again because you clearly have no taste in comedy whatsoever. If you think this is funny, have I made the point that this isn't good? Inappropriate comedy is terrible. It's a piece of shit. Avoid it like the plague, plain and simple, and avoid the Underground Comedy movie too. On that delightfully positive note, we're going to wrap up this episode of Time About the Movies, where we'll wrap March up on the next episode with the second film of the G.I. Joe series, G.I. Joe Retaliation, which brings in Dwayne Johnson and Bruce Willis alongside Channing Tatum back from the original film. We also have Tyler Perry's latest film, Temptation, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor, probably one of his worst films overall. We have The Host, which is another one of the many Twilight knockoffs that were coming out around this time. And we have Derek Serafiance's The Place Beyond the Pines with Bradley Cooper and Ryan Gosling among its cast. And is that it? Yeah, that's about it. 4 more movies to look at next time around to wrap up March 2013. So we'll take a look at those tomorrow. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. With all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.